Okay, so hello, welcome to another training on sold out retreats. So I am so excited to be spending some time with you today. And well, for all of you, those of you who don't know me, my name is Lainey, and I am the founder of a company called The Retreat Planner. And basically what we do is we teach people how to run profitable, but also heart-centered retreats. Why do I like to do this? It's just because I believe that retreats are really a container for rapid transformation. They're very, very special, and they have changed my life, right? So I really know the power of retreats. So who has been in this group inside a retreat? And you can type a one in the chat. Like, who has experienced one? Like as a guest, not organized one. We're not there yet.
Being in a retreat?
Yes, as a guest.
Yeah, I have been in retreats, but not as a facilitator or anything.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Okay, amazing.
Yeah, so I've been in many retreats.
Awesome. That's amazing. So yes, the experience, like being actually the person experiencing the retreat is also extremely powerful, right? And I just want to let you know. So if you have any questions throughout the call, you can just write them in the chat and I'll get to them at the end. So we can make sure that this hour that we're spending together is super powerful, very useful, and I can share as much information as possible, right? Time flies by when we're excited about something. So I want to make sure that we get that. So any questions, just drop them in the chat and I'll get back to them. Amazing. So when you go into a retreat, you can change many things in a very, very fast way. Why does this happen? It's because we're coming into a container, right? Like even the word retreat is telling you that you're getting yourself out of your normal basic things, right? Like your house, you're going to a special place, you're having special meals, maybe special activities, maybe you're traveling across the world to a location. So this allows you to really disconnect from your day-to-day life, right? That's why it really helps to do this in a beautiful, beautiful space, right? So when we're doing retreats and we want to create retreats and we want to host them, we want to take this into consideration, right? Because you could be running online courses, you could be running workshops in person, you can be doing public speaking, and you can be creating transformation, right? But there's some things that are different, right? When you're doing a retreat, is this container that for me is for rapid transformation because everyone comes with an intention. And think just like time becomes kind of like chewing gum, it just stands. Like when you go into a retreat, I don't know if you've experienced this, but like really the time doesn't really matter anymore. You don't even look at a clock. And it just happens, right? And then suddenly you're going through these experiences and you're like feeling all these things, and it might feel like you've been there for like a whole week, or it might feel actually that you've been there just for a couple of hours. So because we're having this opportunity, this is what is creating one of the huge difference when it comes to retreat planning, right? The other main difference is that actually it includes this piece about event planning, right? So you need to coordinate so many more logistics than if you were doing something on an online course, for example, right? This is one of the main difference when it comes to retreat planning, because you really get to do things in a different way. People are going to come live, but they're also going to be spending with you maybe 24, 72 hours, 1 week, maybe even 4 weeks in a retreat, right? So the transformation and the depth of the logistics and the operations, it increases than if you were running just like a 1-day workshop. So many people now are calling everything that they do a retreat, right? They're also considering, for example, like a 3-hour workshop. They're calling it a retreat. You want to make sure that when you're using the word retreat, there is definitely the fact that people are retreating and getting themselves out of the normal, and there is enough time for them to really experience it. Does this make sense so far? You can type a 1 in the chat if you feel this makes sense. And for all of you that are watching the replay, you can just feel for this, right? And connect with this question. And just see if this is something that you like understand and it feels right. Amazing. So as you know, I am running retreats for quite a while, and then I've been like helping so many retreat leaders run and host retreats. And I know one of the main things that become a headache when you're running retreats is actually the sales part, right? Filling up your retreats, actually getting the people who are aligned with you to show up and to say yes to coming to your retreat. And we're gonna really think about this in a little bit of like a different style than what I usually would think or consider this like a sales approach. Because the reality is that we are all connected in a space like from like resonance, right? Like you probably saw my post and you felt, huh, this sounds interesting, right? I'm gonna say yes. And then you signed up, you got a reminder, and then here you are today. But you could have not seen it or not felt that you wanted to come here, right? And there would have been absolutely like no resonance. So it is very, very important that you get through that space, because you want to create this resonance with the ideal customers that are coming to your retreats. You want to make sure that they're interested in what you're creating. And I'm going to tell you a story that is very, very, I find very funny. Maybe it was not very funny for the person that happened this to, right? But there was like a retreat put out there on a website, right? And the retreat said somewhere within the lines that this was a silent retreat. But the person who booked had this process where they could just go ahead and pay for the retreat spot. They probably didn't spend much time reading what was happening in this retreat. Maybe just the dates and the location worked. This person said yes, showed up to the retreat, and suddenly, surprised, this was a silent retreat, and he had absolutely no idea that he was joining a silent retreat. Right? He thought he was going to go to a retreat where he could meet more people, maybe have some communication, right? Like have some talks and, get to meet new people and create new friendships. But the reality is that he showed up for something. If there was a process where someone had spoken to him directly before he joined the retreat, he might have gotten the whole idea around it and actually know what he was joining for. Right? So this is very important, because you don't want someone showing up for your retreat thinking that they're going to be doing something completely different, because they're not going to transform, they're not going to be happy, and probably they're not going to come again unless you show them that this way is so much better. So you want to make sure that your communication is very, very clear. When we're talking about like communication being very clear, it's very, very important. But I'm going to talk about like the thing number one thing that I consider it's like the most important thing when it comes to actually selling retreats, and it's your energy and your mindset. I truly believe like your energy and your mindset should be 80% of everything that you do, because if you don't really feel it in your heart, then it makes it very, very difficult to sell. If you are hesitating, if this is the right thing that you're supposed to be doing, it's going to be harder for you to actually get there, right? So you want to make sure that your thoughts, your mind, and your heart they're all aligned when it comes to doing a retreat, right? So I wanted you to first start and like take a second, right, and consider, why do you want to host retreats? Like really, like what is the reason behind it? And you can go ahead, and if you feel like it, you can write it on the chat. You can keep it for yourselves, but it's very, very important to find this reason, right? Like for me, the reason I decided to run this company and to create it is because I wanted to create more transformation in the world, right? I wanted to help other people create transformation, to grow. And this just felt right for me. Also, I had all the tools for it to be done, right? I've been planning events since I'm 15 years old. So planning a retreat was actually quite easy for me from the logistical and operational perspective. Is this making sense as we speak about this, right? So really shifting your energy and your mindset is so important. Like if you're coming from a space, and I'm gonna just do a representation here, right? And you can see how you feel about it. But for example, if you're coming from a place and you're like, well, maybe I want to run a retreat and I am not super sure, but I'm just gonna do it because everyone else is doing it. this energy is going to resonate with everyone else and people are going to know it. It's kind of like this example. So if you really don't like spending time on Facebook, but your business coach comes and tells you Facebook is where you gotta be, right? Because everyone is on Facebook. Could be LinkedIn, it could be TikTok. For me, it's TikTok. Like so many people are like, oh, you can make so much money on TikTok. I'm not gonna get on TikTok because I never really enjoyed it since it came out, right? So this is not the place for me. But if I follow that and started creating content for TikTok, the reality is that I would probably not enjoy it and think, oh my gosh, I need to go again into TikTok and do these videos and do some silly dances or whatever, put some music, and then keep showing up. And I would not be excited. And when I am not excited, people will feel it. So people are going to scroll through. So it doesn't really matter that the platform is performing like great for other people. If your energy is not there and you're not excited to be there, there's not going to be really such a great result. There's not going to be a great outcome because people are going to feel your energy. Have you ever seen like a post on social media or something that you're like, oh, I want to scroll out of it. Like, I don't really want to watch this video. And you've seen other and you're like, I want to read the caption. This is like resonance. You resonate with certain things and other things you don't resonate. But our energy is everywhere. So people can feel when you're doing something that is not out of your passion or your energy, that you don't want to be there. Does this make sense? Yeah, awesome. So really, like for me, energy and mindset makes 80%, right? But we still need a 20% that is about implementation, right? We still need to implement things. If we have this amazing idea for a retreat and we're like so excited to do it, and this is like really the thing that we want to do, and our heart, our passion, our purpose, everything is connected to doing this retreat, but it stays in this box of ideas. I call it like the garage of ideas. If it stays in this garage of ideas, the reality and what happens is that it's never going to become a reality because you never put it out there in the world, right? So the execution is actually quite crucial when it comes to running retreats, selling retreats, marketing them, just even thinking about the itinerary, right? You need to go through that process because it is quite important. So I'm going to ask you a question. So first question, there's going to be two questions, right? So do you believe you can run a $30,000 retreat? And you can write in the chat if it's a yes, a no, or a maybe. I'm going to repeat the question. Do you believe you can make a $30,000 retreat?
Yes. Sorry, I cannot type. That's why.
It's okay. Yes. Okay, perfect. Yes, you can. Perfect. Next question. Do you believe you can make a 30,000 retreat within 3 months? Answer honestly. There's no right or wrong question. Maybe. Okay. Yes. Okay. The reason this happens, yes, amazing or awesome. Okay. So the reason there might be a hesitation, and you had like to, even if you said yes, you might have to like stop for a second and rethink it, right? And be like, can I? Then there's like a little bit of like a maybe tiny doubt. But when you're putting like a time frame to do something, it feels a lot more stressful, right? So it is important to really go through this. And like most of the people, and this is normal, will answer yes to the first question, right? But when the time frame is added, then they have a question about it. They think about it. They're not like so sure. So, and this happens sometimes because of our belief systems. When we're like saying 3 months, it actually causes a little bit more like stress and maybe anxiety in our bodies because we're like, is this really possible? Doubts and hesitations can come through. But I'm here to tell you that it's totally possible to do a retreat within 3 months that makes 30,000 in profit. Yes, it is a possibility because it's happening. There's so many people doing that and that much more when it comes to retreats. And I'm not saying that's exactly what you want to do and where you want to go, but I'm just here to tell you that whatever you believe you want to create, it is a possibility, right? You get to do it. It's your right. You get to do it. You get to create your dreams, and it's absolutely amazing. So I'm going to invite you to, if you have a piece of paper, if it's possible, right? And I'm going to invite you to do a small exercise. So if you have like a moment to grab this piece of paper and pen, yes, we also need a pen. Let me see if I have here an example, and if not, we will create another one. There we go. Okay. Amazing. So like, I want you to grab a piece of paper and just draw a circle in the middle of it, right? And inside that circle, I want you to write the word retreat. Amazing. Once you have that, I want you to imagine that this is like a sun. So you're gonna do some like lines around it. And what you're gonna write is what feeling and emotion you wanna get when you're running your retreats. So for example, for me, is connection. I want to get joy, you know, like what are the feelings? Not the objects, not the money, the feelings, the emotions, you know, you want to feel excited, right? What do you want to feel when you're running your retreat as a leader? The reason we're doing this is because we are starting to get ourselves into the energy of our emotions, because our emotions help us get to our reality. So you can close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and just write as many as you want. And when you're done, you can just write in the chat that you're finished so we can move on to the next step. Amazing. All right. So if you're done, and if you want to write in the chat, what are the feelings and the emotions that you want to get when you fill up your retreat, when you're hosting your retreat, you know, when you have all these beautiful, amazing people actually at your retreat experiencing it, right? And creating this transformation. Awesome, Jazz. Amazing. So the reason we want to do these exercises, and you can do them as many times as you want, and you can actually do it with any single thing that you want to create in your life. It can be a relationship, it can be like a business, it can be financial, anything that you want to create. You can use this exercise to just start living these emotions, right? So because when we start living it, our energy and our mindset changes, right? So you want to feel resourceful, joyful, and love. That's amazing, right? This is absolutely great, right? And you want to be creating this energy as you go, and not forget that these are the emotions and the feelings that you want to be portraying when you are hosting your retreats, right? Because this is kind of like your, in a way, it's like the why you're doing this, right? Because you don't want to be doing retreats just because of like the profitability. You want to do it because of the transformation, but not only the transformation that you're providing to the students, but the transformation that you're creating for yourselves, right? I want you to ask yourselves when you're creating a retreat, what will my students get out of it? But also, what will I get out of it? You know, how am I going to shift? How am I going to change? How is this going to make a difference in my life? Because so many times we just focus on what we're going to give, and we forget about what we're going to receive. But because we're in a circle, when you're like, let's say when you're doing a retreat, it's kind of like a community, right? And the energy is going to flow, and you're going to learn through examples. You're going to get so much out of like hosting a retreat. You're not just going to be giving, right? So you want to make sure that you're already kind of like bringing in that energy when you're creating your retreat, because you also want to grow, because that means that you become a better retreat leader or a teacher or a guide, or whatever name you want to give yourself. You're just going to keep improving. So this is like for me number one, right? But now we're going to be moving into the piece of like execution, because I think it's also very important for execution to happen, even though it should not be the main thing, right? Like if we don't have the energy and the mindset, the execution can be there, but things are just going to be harder, right? It's not going to be so easy for it to happen. So I'm going to be talking like on the piece of like, really getting clear on like who you serve and what is that you're offering, right? In this case, okay, yes, it's a retreat, but there is something specific that you're offering through this retreat, right? If not, it would just be a wellness vacation. Like retreats have something special. And you want to make sure that you know exactly what is the thing that is special about your retreat. What is the transformation that is creating? So I'm going to ask you to answer yourself this question. So who would benefit from your offer? Like, who do you serve? Like, who's the people that you want in your retreat? Because this is very important. You can have an amazing retreat, but if you're speaking to the wrong people, it might not sell. Let's say, for example, you are running retreats for moms, but everyone you're talking to is actually not a mom yet, maybe not intending to become one, right? Then they're probably not your right audience. This is probably not the people you're going to be talking to if you want to fill up a retreat that's specifically created for moms, right? So who do you serve? And the next one is like, what is the promise of your offer? Like, how will your retreat like change someone's lives? And you can go and just take a second and write it down, because it is very important to know, again, the transformation that you are creating when you are running retreats. And if you feel like it, you can share it also in the chat, and we can also maybe use one of them as an example for the next steps. Hey. Welcome, Lisa. So we are writing down like, what is the promise of your offer, and like, how will your retreat transform someone's life, right? So very, very important when it comes to like selling a retreat and actually putting it out there to the public. You want to make sure that you know who is it for, and how will it change someone's life. This is really getting your messaging very, very clear, right? That's the whole point behind it. And I will be sending on an email afterwards the replay for the session, and also a workbook that goes deeper into this question. So you can actually just on your own time and on your pace, really go a little bit more in depth when it comes to everything that we're talking about today, right? It has some questions with automatic writing. It's quite fun and entertaining, just so you get to find out also what is like stopping you from selling your retreats, right? Because this is like such an important question that so many of us don't ask ourselves when we are then struggling to sell a retreat. Like, what is the thing that is stopping us, right? It might be mindset. It might be just that we're not actually telling anyone. This happens a lot. Like, we cannot expect people to know that we're running a retreat if we don't tell anyone, right? It is important to like speak about it. Sometimes so many times it comes from a place of like self-worth, or like feeling shy when you're talking in public, or thinking that your offer is not good enough, or that there's so many offers out there that why would they choose yours. Thank you, Lisa. Okay. So anyway, you're not gonna like make any money in any kind of business unless you show up, right? You need to keep showing up for it to happen. So you need to invite people into it. If not, it really like it stays again in this garage of ideas that don't become a reality. So invitation is very, very important, right? So also you want to watch like your energy when you invite someone into your offer. Like how does that feel, right? Like do you feel like, do you sometimes maybe, and this is like common things that happens to a lot of people. So if it's happening to you, it has happened to me probably, like 99% of like all the ones that I'm talking about, they have crossed my mind at some point, right? So like, are you worried that they will think it's like a waste of time, right? Or they won't like it, right? Like, or do you worry that they're not going to get the transformation that you're promising? This is it's a thing, right? Or do you think there are like better choices out there, right? Like besides yours, like they could choose many other ones. Or do you doubt that whether people will invest in you and pay your price, right? It's very, very important. Or are you worried that you're being pushy if you shout out your offer out into the world? Does it feel like you're becoming very salesy if you're telling people about it, right? This is something that you want to really pay attention into when you're like thinking about your retreat, because there will come up like it's happening. Like it will be very unrealistic for me to tell you that these questions will never cross your mind. But what about if we reframe them and it's like, what if actually people are willing to invest in my retreat? What if me actually shouting it to the world gets to this person who really needed my retreat, right? So shifting the question behind, not staying with like the same framework. Does this make sense? Now we're moving into like my favorite topic, pricing. So many people want to spend so much time thinking about sales, but I truly believe that if your pricing is not right, then it doesn't matter how many sales skills you have. It's very unlikely that people are going to purchase it. And I'm going to give you like again, I love examples because they really let us understand how things are happening, right? So I was helping this retreat leader from Australia run a retreat in Mexico. And I was talking to her because she was saying that she was not really selling her retreat, that she was feeling like she was in a slump. So we had a session together and we started like figuring out what was happening, what was like really stopping her, right? And then after the session, she started selling it. Like she sold 2 more spots. It was like absolutely amazing, right? But the reality is that she never got to sell as many spots as she wanted because she was thinking that having like a lower price would actually make more people join. Her retreat was for people from Australia traveling all the way to Mexico, right? So it was a retreat that for 7 days you paid $1,500. The flight ticket to get to Mexico was $3,000, right? So if the flight ticket is more expensive than the retreat, the perceived value of the retreat is going to be very, very low. And also consider it like you're coming to a retreat where you're going to transform your life, and it was a wild woman's retreat, right? So you're going to become a wild woman for 7 days, and you're paying $250 per night with like the stay, the meals, and the transformation. So if you divide that, it's like $225 per night. If you went and you stayed in like a hotel in the same category with the foods, you will probably be spending more than this $225 without the transformation, right? So the perceived value, it's very, very important. And if you pray so many times, I've heard this so many, many times. Like I think I lost count. They're like, oh, but if I sell it in a very low price, then people are going to sign up. And the reality that rule doesn't really apply. The people who want to come, they're going to pay the price because it's the price that makes sense, right? That feels that the transformation, the values, and the benefit is worth. Not the accommodation, not the meals, not the food, the transformation, right? So it's the value that you are creating. So always going for like, the cheaper option, like offering sales at like 50% off and all these kind of things. When it comes to retreats, it's not the best marketing strategy. You can do early birds or, so many spots at this time. You can do scholarships. There's so many different things that can be done. But usually going through like these price points doesn't help. Like there's another case, Ciara from like London. She was coming also to Mexico to do a retreat, 5-day retreat. She was not really selling out her spots. The more she went through it, the more she would drop the prices. It came to a point where her 5-day retreat, just so she could like cover the costs, was in the pricing of like a 2-day retreat. And she had like amazing teachers coming through, DJs, like there was a huge production for her retreat. But she thought that if she kept lowering her prices, more people would sign up. But the reality is that 2 more people signed up, and she took them in because she wanted not to actually have to pay from her pocket to host the retreat. But it didn't make like a difference. I am sure if she had actually increased her prices, if she got 1 person with her increased prices, she would have covered all her expenses long before she's had to start going through this price, like, going downwards. Does this make sense? When it comes to pricing, I know, like, that's why I really like to talk about pricing, because it's something that so many times we don't consider, and we're just like, well, this is a pricing people would say yes. But you want to go ahead and do your market research and see what are the prices out there, what feels right with you. What is the price that you feel comfortable charging? Another great way that I find when you're selecting your price to sell it is it like if you would be willing to be like if you would be your first client, right? So if when you're creating a retreat, like an offering, you want to create a retreat that actually you would be the first person to say yes to, right? So if you were not saying yes to your own retreat, then expecting other people to say yes, it's going to make it a lot harder, right? So you want to make sure that it has this price that is aligned. So imagine that you saw your retreat, but actually was led by someone else, that you will be willing to say yes on the spot and actually pay the price that is there. I had also a call with this woman, very interesting call, right? So she was running a 7-day retreat in Panama, and it was like also 1 week, 1,000, like no, $2,200, right? So, okay, it's definitely better than 1,500, but her break even was on number 11, and she had a capacity of 12 people. So she actually started making and she had the 11 people, right? But she was missing to get 1 person. That person was the profit. Everyone else was going to the expenses. Does that make sense financially, that you stress so much to actually get 11 people in to pay other people and then just wait for the last one to actually make you some profit, right? And then she was telling me, oh, but I really want to increase my prices and I want to pay $5,000, charge $5,000 for retreats. And I'm like, there's people charging $5,000 for retreats and there's people paying $5,000 for retreats. It's not that it's not a thing and it's not possible. It definitely is. But the question here is, are you willing to pay $5,000 to go into a retreat? Because if you don't believe that any retreat is worth $5,000, it's very unlikely that you're going to believe that your own retreat is worth $5,000. Right? So we have to go really deep into the rabbit hole of pricing. We cannot cover the whole thing in like this 1-hour session, but pricing is one of the most crucial pieces that I believe it comes when retreats. Like really, I do believe that it makes it or breaks it. And you can go a little bit deeper into like the pricing piece when you get the workbook in a couple of hours with like the replay. So this is very, very important. Another thing that is for me crucial when it comes to retreats or any kind of business is you want to create deep connection, right? You want to get connected with people and you want them to feel that they know you, right? You don't want to do it just because you're selling something, it's because you're creating transformation. And people buy more from people that they know that they know what they're talking about, right? That they're doing things from their heart, from their passion, that you're not just another check, right? And for that to happen, people need to get to know you, right? There's so many voices out there, so many things happening out there. You want to make sure that you're standing out with your people. And the reality is that there is also all these vanity metrics, and you might think that if you have 100,000 followers, that means your retreats are going to sell out. But you don't need those numbers to actually sell out retreats. Like, I have clients who sell their retreats on WhatsApp. They never build like a website, like a sales page, and they sell out, right? Having high numbers, like what it's called the vanity metrics, doesn't equal transactions, right? Deep connection equals transactions, because if you connect with the people and they get to know you, they want to get to know you more, right? And if they get to come to one of your retreats, then they might want to come to your retreats again. There's this beautiful Soul Sicilian retreat from a woman named Elisa, and her retreats are like a loyalty marketing machine, because the people who come to her retreats in Sicily, they keep coming, and now they bring friends and family members. So her retreats are filling up on their own, just because there's such wonderful experience that the people who came want more people to experience it, right? This is what you want to create. You want to create something that people love so much that they're telling absolutely everyone about it, right? Like, I've been to retreats, and there's some retreats that I will tell everyone that I cross around that they should definitely go and do it. And it's not because I know they're like doing or creating anything different. It's because they changed my life, and I know I want other people to experience it. See, this is one of the magical things about creating deep connection. I usually now just go to retreats with people that I know, like teachers that I know, that are recommended by people that I trust. I don't go online and search for retreats anymore, because for me, it's important to have a connection, and also to know that the person who's referring it to me is someone that I consider trustworthy, right? So according to the numbers, like your first 40 clients are going to come through your close network, right? So you want to make sure that you're nurturing them. So building deep connection, I think this is very, very important, and you can do it in many, many different ways. But honestly, it's just like the intentionality, right? Like having the intention to really create connection, like that you really want to know who they are and why they're doing what they're doing, not just for the sake of getting anything else done, just really, really connecting that. Like, instead of like thinking that you need to get people to buy or prove that you're worth, like you want to focus on like giving and giving and giving, and then you show up and you show up and you show up, you keep showing up, and it pays off, right? It comes back. It's all about energy at the end of the day, but these are the actions that you can take to get everything flowing and moving. So if I can suggest you, just like choose one or two social media channels, right? And focus on those. Don't try to expand yourself in like so many different ways, right? Being vulnerable and authentic is so important. Like, there's so many people out there that are not being authentic and vulnerable. Don't want to be on that side. You want to be the one who actually cares about everyone else. And if you care about someone, like let's say in your family, you don't want to like lie to them or show them someone who you are not, right? You want to show the person that really cares about them, right? And just be generous in general. Like, giving a lot is very, very important. The number 5, and this is going to be like a thing that is very, very important when it comes to growing a business, is like showing up consistently. Just, you need to keep showing up and showing up and showing up and showing up and showing up until you're tired and you keep showing up, right? And I know it sounds a little bit crazy sometimes, but it is very important because that's how people remember you. It helps you actually keep creating like connection with other people, right? There's different ways where you can keep showing up consistently without like burning out or going crazy. I've been there, definitely. It's like if you can batch content, so you can create it and then you can pre-schedule it, right? So one afternoon you decide to create all the content, or like 1 or 2 afternoons, and then another afternoon you decide to schedule it, and then you still allow some flexibility to free post certain things when you're like feeling like it, but without feeling like, without having to be like, oh, today I have to post because I don't have anything else, right? So if you feel confident with like scheduling and it's something that you enjoy, this is a great tip to stay more consistent, right? Because this is all about becoming visible, right? Visibility is very, very important when it comes to having your own business. If you are an entrepreneur and you are the face of your business, you want to stay visible, right? You want people to see you, because again, if not, everything stays in the garage of ideas. How is it all going so far? Do any of you have any questions?
No questions, but this is really, really good information, and I really appreciate you doing this.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you. I really try to add a lot of value into our, 1 hour calls is like a little bit, sometimes it's, 60 minutes, but we can get a lot of information here, and we can really, start exploring, like all the magic that is behind retreats, right? Because it is like, for me, it's magical. So this is why I love teaching about it. I run like workshops all the time. Then I have like my programs, like I have Mastering the Art of Retreat Planning. That is like a 12-week program where we actually get to experience from A to Z mastering the art of retreat planning, right? So we really cover absolutely every piece, from like, what is your intention as a retreat leader? How do you want to create it? So because we meet for 3 months, we get to create a sustainable system that is specialized for you, right? And it's beautiful because we get to join in group and we get to collaborate and get more ideas and just grow and expand. And we go through pricing, how to choose your location, how to create your itinerary, how to hold space for the retreats, because this is something that not talked a lot about it, and it's so important. If you go into your first retreat without knowing how to like hold space for like, let's say 72 hours, you might end up a little bit burnt out, and you don't want to have that as an experience for your first retreat, because you want to keep showing up, you want to do more retreats, you want to have a great experience out of it, right? We go through pricing, marketing, selling. So the whole point is that it's a hands-on approach, right? So you get to work, you get to experience, and you get to create. So by the end of the retreat or the program, right, you have a retreat that is already selling, right? You already launched it and you're selling it. So it's super powerful because you get to see and talk to other people who are also running retreats, and what are the ideas, what are they working on. And like, I have some amazing experts joining. I have like my astrocartographer talking about how you can choose your retreat location based on your astrocartography. Yeah, super, super cool. But basically, the idea is that you choose the location based on that, and then you just kind of like a plug, you go and you plug in there, and then the energy of everything that is around you helps you create a magical retreat, right? I have like my business coach coming and talking about like the 3-step profit system. So how you can actually get leads through like a funnel system. So then you can warm them up and then they can join your retreat. Yeah, I'm getting someone on visibility to talk. There's someone coming also to talk about Facebook ad leads. So it's going to be such an amazing program. I'm so excited. And we're going to be starting at the end of July. So some amazing people already joined. I have Like, who's a mermaid, and Kendra, who's a badass heart coach. I have someone from biohacking. So It's going to be such a fun experience to join for the next 12 weeks. And if you're interested, I have like a special price for everyone who's joining the call today. That is 1,447, yeah, in one payment. Or there's the option for 12 payments. So if you don't want to, or you can't afford the whole price, you can have monthly payments. This is just for you to have the option that if you really want to do it, you don't have to get all the money out of the bank at once, right? So I'll put the link here on the chat if you want to have a little bit more details on it and see how it feels. And this will be available for the next couple of days. And this special price is only for the people that are in this class, right? So if you go and check my website, this is not the price that you're going to see. This has like $1,000 discount. So check it out and feel free to send me a message and ask me any questions about it. I'll be super, super happy to answer them, or I can even answer them right now if you're feeling like it. But thank you so much for joining. And if you have any questions about retreats right now, I'm also super happy to answer them as we go.
For some odd reason, the link is not working for me. Maybe because I'm like on a cell phone.
Let me have a look. Okay, let me have a look on the link. Okay, yes. It's not working. Okay. Thank you. Like, give me 1 second.
Okay.
And I'll send it now. Oh, okay. Maybe I needed like, it is the same. It's just, I guess I was missing the HTTPS piece, maybe to open.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Have a look and let me know if it goes through.
Yes, it worked.
Yes?
It
Oh,
just worked.
amazing.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you so much.
No, it's my pleasure. Honestly, it's gonna be such an awesome program. I'm like so excited for it. And all the people who have joined my program in the past, like absolutely love it because it really takes you through like a very heart-centered approach of how to run profitable retreats. So you can be profitable because I want people to show up when you're running the retreats from like an overflowing cup. I don't want them to be showing up from a place of like, how do I pay my mortgage? Because this is not the best way to serve people, right?
Yeah.
But it has to be very heart-centered, right? And we don't focus so much on like all the things that you need, but we're more focused on like all the things that you have. And then we add the things that are still like missing to just expand and upgrade.
Nice, nice. Thank you. I'll definitely take a look at the information. And again, I really appreciate you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And just like, check out my website from time to time. I do like very like often I do like different classes on different topics just to keep sharing and spreading the information about retreat planning because it's so important for me.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Jazz. Thank you, Rafaela, for staying. And hopefully I'll see you very soon. Thank you very much, Rafaela. Bye.